meeting order at 18:30 hours. First item on the agenda is recognition of the public. We have Deborah from Yankee Dog
Yes.
Doodle, whatever.
Deb, will you say your last name? Is it Thoreau?
It's Terrio.
Terrio,
Thank you.
okay.
Okay.
And the usual reformer, reporter, distinguished, and Yankee. If there would be approval of minutes from the last meeting,
So moved.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
And we move right along to new business, would be the Kidder project on the Hill Road. We have 2 bids come in on that project. There are 5 contractors that looked at the site. There's Drew Adams and Paul Kidder and
Anybody want to look?
Katie,
I saw it.
Okay. Did you see it?
myself. The 2 bids came in, one from Rockland, out of Chesterfield for, what's the figure on that,
35 or something.
35 something.
This one says 3,500.
Okay.
And the other one was from local MT3
For 19.25.
1925.
Wow, what a difference.
I didn't know if anybody had any understanding why there was such a significant difference. It makes,
Some of it would be transportation, I think, from
Right.
to bring the equipment
Okay.
from Chesterfield to here.
well, I'd like to make a motion that we accept Mike Kachuk's bid. If we were at that point to do that.
And they are at that point. The bids are written up a little bit different, but they cover the same scope of.
Okay, that's what I wanted to be sure.
Yeah.
That's, yeah, I was looking to make sure they're apples to apples.
They looked good to me when I looked at them online. But
Oh, I couldn't see them all. I could get part of them.
Did Rossi's bring their thing over?
I went and got it that morning,
You went there that morning?
yeah.
I second your motion.
All in favor of allowing MT3 to do the kidder work?
Aye.
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 Do we have a timetable on that?
Yes, there has to be a pre-construction visit, blah, 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 and all that.
This is the most formal process.
RCS people.
Their little job.
So,
It's been
yeah.
a lot of work for this day.
Algiers Village Doggy Daycare is no longer Doggy Daycare, it is Yankee what?
It is Yankee Dog. It is still a doggy daycare. It's just
Yeah.
a different name. That's my
And I have to
company.
confess that I am the one that kind of shut down the outside business with Doggy Daycare was starting, because they were talking of having 25 or 30 dogs run around in the yard, and the question was, where is all that gonna run to when it rains, and it was gonna go in the brook, so.
So maybe we should start with just a little bit of overview. Deb, if you could introduce yourself and
Okay.
tell us about, what you've been doing, and then we can go through, and Katie, if you would run through the Act 250 obstacles or whatever the
Yeah,
issues
I
We
are.
can look at it. I have the current. There actually are 2 permits
Okay.
right now. I have them both here. I've been in dogs for the last 20 years. I've been a professional trainer for the last 10 years, and the answer to your question is good drainage. It doesn't really go that deep, but there are ways to do this. The dog daycare business is something that probably 10 years ago was freaking everybody out because nobody had ever heard of it, and it was a strange thing, but it is something that has really exploded all across the country, and there are thousands of them. And because of that explosion, I think a lot has been learned about good drainage and about how to handle animal waste and about how to handle animals in groups. And all of this is something that I have been reading about, learning about, going to seminars on, and working on for the last 10 years, since 2004 actually, so not quite 10, but I don't know. I'm sure there are things I haven't thought of yet. So I looked at that building, 17 Guilford Center Road, probably 5 times. And there was a lot about it that I didn't like, but there was also a lot about it that I did like. And I started talking to the owners probably about 1.5 years ago about possibly leasing it from them for a 2-year period with an option to buy at about 28 months. and was never informed by them or by anybody else who was involved in this that there were any Act 250 issues, that there were any fire or compliance issues. It was pretty much presented to me as a turnkey operation. And it sure looked like it. I mean, I had my own concerns about there are no smoke detectors, there are no emergency lights, there are a number of things in there that I was concerned about, but felt I could handle and deal with myself. Those were things that I thought, well, I'll have to do this. So last October, I hired a building inspector to come down and go over the whole place. And he gave me a report that was about 90% good, except that we couldn't test the furnace because there was no water coming in from the well. So I just threw up my hands and walked away from it at that point and talked to the owners again a couple of months later about it, and we discussed the possibility of repairing the well or of waiting until the water line came through town.
At that point, did they give you any indication when you talked to them then about any of the water issues? No. Okay.
None. In fact, I was told that the water issues would be solved
By the water.
by the water line.
Well, I think it will.
Well, yeah, it solves some of the problems. Yeah, there's no need to worry about an inadequate septic system.
Mhm.
There's no need to worry about an inadequate well anymore. Those two things are not in the picture. However, I didn't know, and it's been in education, there's a whole lot more to Act 250 than just water in and water out. So we discussed me renting the place for the summer without water, just as a shelter so that I could at least conduct some classes. I haven't had a place to teach since April of 2010, and my client base is eroding. And as far as my business goes, I need to be out there. I need to be out there doing things. And I need to be working with people and their dogs. So for, the last 2 years, I've been, year and a half, I've been, driving around on back roads, seeing people at their homes, lost in Layden. I have really wanted to do this for a really long time. So when we started discussing using it as a shelter over the summer, I thought, well, that'll give me a good opportunity to start building business back up, to get public classes rolling again. I had no intention of doing any dog daycare until there was actually water. And heat, which, both of those things are kind of critical. So given the schedule that I was aware of with the water line, I figured we would probably make it or be close. I might have to shut down for a month, if things, backed up. But it looked like I could pull that part of it off. And I was sort of seeing this period of having the porta potty out front as being a time for me to do some marketing, develop my business, get my website up. And instead, I have been bogged down in a number of issues that have come up. I had Brian Johnson out from the State Fire Marshal's office in July, which was right after, first of all, we went in and did work. My husband and I went in and did a bunch of work on the second floor. We finished off windows. We put a dog-friendly floor down. We did a bunch of work. And then I got Brian Johnson to come out, and he said, well, there's been a stop work order on the second floor. I said, great. He said, just block it off. Don't use it for business. You're okay on the first floor. Is that what you had been doing when your husband had been doing all the work on the second floor? Yeah. Well, we didn't do anything permanent except for paint. I mean, everything that we did is stuff that could be pulled up and taken away. I mean, there are little floor tiles and stuff like that, and we didn't do anything to the building's infrastructure up there. There's a part of a bathroom that was never finished.
You were working on both the first and the second floor?
Yes,
okay.
Yes. And basically what we had to do on the first floor was clean, organize, and just do a lot of little things that had been just sort of abandoned and stuff. So anyway, Brian came down and we went through the place, and he gave me a list of things that I would have to do, the scariest one of which was, in order to meet with the handicapped access issues, was an elevator to the second floor, which was cited in one of his reports as a possibility. The building needs a second means of egress from the second floor on the back of the building. There are two ways out of the second floor, but they're within 15 feet of each other on the same wall. So it needs a second means of egress. And downstairs, there were a number of things like there's a great ramp into the building, but there needed to be a ramp into the room. There's a few things that need to be moved around in terms of the furnace has a little safety thing on it that will spray water on it if anything goes wrong with it. And it's kind of not anywhere near the furnace, so it sort of has to be moved over to the top of the furnace.
But you dealt with those issues that he pointed out, right?
We are not, no, because I told him I'm not spending any money on this until I know I can use the whole building. Because right now he's telling me I can't use the second floor.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm paying for a whole building that I can only use pretty much half of, a little bit more than half of. I have the world's most expensive private training room for my own dogs. He said I could use it myself, but that I could not use it for business. So we've been sort of limping along, scheduling things so that there's no conflict with use of the second floor. Other issues that he brought up are the outside railings needed to be beefed up and made safer and more accessible, and I need to build a ramp. And I actually have a copy of the access board application, which has pictures and arrows and everything on it, and a floor plan, which will show you pretty much what, I just want to make sure it has a floor plan. What's happening in there. So there are fire issues and there are access issues.
And this is all part of the ADA stuff? You
This
haven't
is part of the
gotten
ADA stuff.
Act 250 stuff?
This is not Act 250 stuff. The Act 250 stuff didn't rear its head until about 10 days ago. When,
So maybe we should take a look at those issues.
Brud said, Brud from Stevens and Associates, the gentleman that owned the building have hired Brud to do the hookup to the water line.
Okay.
And Brud said, you know, you better check with April Hensel and see if there are any Act 250 issues. So I said, okay. So I called April's office and I got her assistant, and she told me, well, yeah, here's the permit that you have. And so I looked through the permit, and there were a number of things in it that were like crazy. And I called her back. I said, I'm in violation of a lot of this stuff. What do you want to do? She said, it's not our job to come after you. It's our job to help you come into compliance. Okay. So let's work through this stuff, you know. So right now, I'm actually operating in the building about 9 or 10 hours a week. Mm-hmm. I'm there a little bit more because I'm, you know, sweeping up dog hair and stuff.
So would it be helpful for us to look at those issues? or
We
just
can.
have
Do you
to-
have it? Did you get it, Katie?
I don't
Did
have
you download it?
I don't have it in front of me.
Because they're actually, I learned in a searchable database. There are two, and the first one is the old one, which is for the dog daycare.
The old Act 250 application.
The old Act 250 application is for the dog daycare, and then there's a new one, which is for a commercial building with an apartment on the second floor and retail on the first floor.
And is that what Tanini and Del Greco did, both the applications, the owners?
Yes. Yeah, but the dog daycare one never went away.
No, I understand.
Yeah, the commercial one exists and the dog daycare one exists. And anyway, so
One is an amendment, the second one's an amendment to the first.
it looks new. It looks like it's a different thing. That's the dog daycare one, and somewhere in here I have a new one, which is just commercial.
Didn't, when Doggy Daycare went down, weren't they going to put in some apartments?
Yeah, that
for
was,
the second
it looks like they kind of
permit.
kept changing plans as the wind blew, you know, and sort of when they said you can't do that, they would say, okay, we won't do that. I understand there was a lot of contention and frustration going back and forth with everybody, but
So I don't, without reading this right now, I'm wondering, Deb, if you could summarize, or Katie, you could summarize, what are the outstanding issues that are, you know, that are making this so you shouldn't be operating? Are there just a few?
hours of operation is the main one. It's permitted to be open from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and I'm never there before 6 p.m. So we're operating from like 6 to 9, doing evening classes, except on Saturdays when we're there in the morning. That's one issue that I'm in violation of. And the thing that had me the most upset was the outdoor activity area, which is on page 4. It's item 6. They said they eliminated the plans for it.
I see.
Had I known that,
Yeah, then you probably wouldn't have.
I may not have. I may not have.
Dick, do you remember, or, I'm trying, what were the issues with the water, and are they all dealt with if they get, because I thought sprinkling was part of it, and you said, Deb, there had never been mentioning of that.
Not in here,
Okay.
and no one ever mentioned it to me.
Sure.
The only person who mentioned it to me was Brian, and it was only that one sprinkler
Sure.
that goes
Yeah.
over the furnace. I was also shocked that they didn't require any kind of CO2 or smoke detectors.
There was a whole lot of that went on about alarm system and sprinkling, and I can't remember all the details, but it was a very back and forth.
In here it says that the volunteer fire chief was concerned about the flooring that they had put in there, which is called Toughlex.
Right.
And Toughlex is a poured liquid flooring that hardens up and has a lot of give to it. It's used in a lot of schools, a lot of gyms, and a lot of public buildings. The volunteer fire chief at the time seemed to think that it was going to increase the intensity or heat of any fire that might happen there. And I've actually written to the company and asked them to give me that information because my understanding is that that may not be, I mean, it's no worse than this carpeting
Sure.
or any carpet underlayment or anything like that. It's not,
So-
it's not a deal changer. You know.
Just to understand where you are right now, are you in the, are these guys going to get the amendment and get the Act 250 permit, the owners? It seems like a lot of this has been.
It's on me to work through this. Both of them are far away. Robert lives in California, and Peter lives over in eastern New Hampshire, northeastern New Hampshire.
I see.
So a lot of it has fallen onto me, and I think I actually probably have a better chance of threading the needle than they do because they just seem to piss everybody off, you know. And so I know I'm getting a lot of that. So I think that. For one thing, I have some ownership in this. You know, I mean, this is,
You've invested a lot of sweat equity.
yeah, so I want to try to find a way to, work through this stuff. The other issue where I'm in violation is it says in here that there are supposed to be 10 parking spaces
Right.
at the front of the building, and that's physically impossible.
Impossible.
Look, it's not possible.
I saw that in there.
Yeah.
I just seen that.
Yeah, and so those were the two things that I talked
So
to
what
April's
was-
assistant
And
about.
did she say you could go for an amendment? I mean,
She did. She said, but the other issues are more important than the things that I'm worried about. So that's the thing. And those other issues are things like the waste, the animal waste. I need the outdoor area. This is Vermont. I'm not going to run an indoor only dog daycare in
and
Vermont.
they talked about a lined landfill. Is that what they were talking about in there?
Any dog waste, and that is the industry standard is that any solid dog waste is bagged and taken to a lined landfill.
Oh,
That's
I see.
certainly,
That's reasonable.
and I'm not going to live with,
Sure.
poop.
So,
And the liquid waste, drains down, but the play area, the outdoor play area is treated daily with what's called a wissy wash, which is like pool chemicals that basically, it's like peroxide
but how close
more
is
than
this
anything
to the
else.
road?
It still goes to the brook, right?
It's,
That
no.
that was the issue before.
That was the issue before, but it would have to run downhill to the brook. If a dog is using an area that is gravel and sand, it ain't going to run anywhere. I'm talking about bringing in 4 inches of gravel and sand, which has a number of functions for this type of application. One is that it slows the dogs down, so they can't get up a lot of speed and hurt themselves. The other is that it provides a really fast drainage, so everything goes straight down. And can be treated with basically a sanitizing solution on a daily or weekly basis, depending on, I'm not going to live with stink.
Yeah.
The neighbor, the Shaws at the time, were concerned that there would be runoff into their well, but I'm assuming that they're not there anymore and that whoever is there is going to be on the water line, so their well is going to be a moot issue.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
People have the option of buying or of hooking onto the water line or not.
Uh-huh.
So it's not a for sure thing.
Right. Okay. Well, I don't know, but I do know that I don't know where their well is, and I can't visibly see a wellhead anywhere,
Sure.
looking around over there. So, they may have an issue, but I don't know. I suppose I could look up and scientifically get some information
I
on
think
where
there's a
urine
survey,
goes,
though.
you know,
There's
when
a
it drops.
survey.
But
I think there, of that particular property, there's probably a survey map that you can,
I have a survey map somewhere,
of,
but
Of Shaw's property?
oh, not of Shaw's property,
Yeah,
but
I think
of the
if you
neighborhood.
did some research here, you might be able to learn all that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I do have to find out who all the abutting neighbors are,
Yeah.
so I'll be
So
back.
you would be the one in that you're saying, not Tanini and Del Greco, it would be you who'd be going for the Act 250
That is
amendment.
correct.
Okay. And-
That is correct. They have to sign off on it.
Sure.
They were here
Because
last
you're on,
Saturday.
yeah.
We walked all through everything. You know, they were pretty psyched to see everything that I was doing there. And actually a little bit touched to actually see puppies running around inside because there was a puppy class going on, which was kind of sweet. But they're supporting me, but I mean, they really don't have the time or the physical proximity
I
to deal
believe
with
traffic
this.
was an issue at one point with that whole thing too.
Oh my God, seriously?
But that seems to me to be kind of moot now with the apartment building going in.
Yeah, I can't see
The
traffic.
the only parking issue would be the Tontine building residents have to have a place to park during the snowstorm,
Mm-hmm.
because they're not allowed to park on the sidewalk.
Right.
They don't pay any attention anymore.
I have a construction trailer for the Algiers project on the property right now, 2 of them in fact. I mean, I'm certainly willing, and I've told the guys over at Richardson's that if they have to park cars there during the day, they're welcome to. Just be out of there by 6 o'clock. And they've used the space a time
So
or
you're
two.
saying most of your classes are in the evening?
Most of my classes are in the evening, and my daycare operation would probably involve possibly 15 people dropping dogs off for 5 minutes and picking dogs up for 5 minutes. It's not like there's going to be people parked there all day except for me.
Would there
And
be dogs there, would there be dogs there overnight?
no,
So,
No, I
because
do
one of
not
the
want
issues
to
we
go out.
heard about was concern about barking overnight, I think.
Yeah, there was a noise issue, there's all kinds of things.
if there are dogs inside that building barking, you cannot hear them.
Yeah.
The one of the things in here was regarding insulation and soundproofing, and I will tell you they did a hell of a job on that because I have stood outside and walked all around the building when there's the breed handling class, which are dogs, you know, like in Westminster, that, you know, like prance around the ring. The breed handling class is usually the noisiest class that we have. And with the doors closed, and not all of the doors, just the doors to the room those dogs were working in, I could not hear them. I could hear the dog next door barking. I could hear dogs that sounded like they were over on Melody Hill barking, but I could not hear the dogs in the building
I
barking.
think that was part of.
Now, was that your dog?
That was, I believe that was part of the fire, they had to have a fire alarm, but the building was soundproof, so if the fire alarm was inside, they couldn't hear it anyway. There was a whole bunch of that fire alarm and sprinkler stuff that went on, so
So
yeah.
you've met with Jared though, have you?
Yeah.
The fire chief? Did you?
No, I have not. I called him a couple of times and left messages. That's why I had Brian come out.
Yeah, I remember, I mean, one of the things that Deb
Access, the
had
no
said to me was that
access.
she struggled to get in touch with people. So
Yeah.
what can we do to help you?
Well, the other thing is access to 3 sides of the building, and I think we have that now. Because what was at that time, I think there was still a connection between the yellow apartment building and that building that was left over from Leader Home Center. There was still some kind of a bridge there, so there's access to actually 4 sides of the building now for the fire department. I don't know what you could do to help me.
Because I talked to you on Saturday, it's a state issue. But
Right, this is a state issue, and I feel like I have.
I'm glad you made contact with April in her office, that's very helpful.
Well, I feel like I have a pretty good handle on it, and I don't think most of these things are insurmountable. However, if I do have to have a hearing, I could be tied up with this for months, and that
Why would you not have to have a hearing? What, if nobody asks for a hearing?
if nobody on the abutting property
Sure.
protests,
Right, got
then
it.
I don't have to have a hearing.
Okay.
Basically, they will review the information on their own.
Yeah.
They will make decisions. But in looking through this, they had the animal control officer involved. There's just that was the guy from Puppy Acres, I think, at the time. Yeah. One of the things I talked about with Brian was, I want to put gates up at the bottom of all the staircases because people can get stressed out trying to hang onto a dog and open a door at the same time. So if I put a gate on the bottom, and as long as they're not fancy and they open like a normal gate does, he said that would be allowed, you know, as far as the accessibility stuff goes. But yeah,
Was it April's office that gave you this?
yes.
Okay.
The old permit, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, only because there's been the original permit and then I think 2 amendments to it.
I don't really know, Brian. And actually, I think you asked me about stuff Brian had given me.
Maybe.
Maybe if we need that, okay, because I have a bunch of stuff. You know.
I just said, you know, bring what you got, and
Yeah.
so that if, you know, if there's any questions anybody has.
Just so that you're complying and that Act 250, you guys are talking on the same subject.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have to amend it again,
Yeah.
just, I would get it really clearly from.
So wouldn't April have the most current amendments? Wouldn't her
I
office?
think the most current one is
The current one is a
She
commercial
this one.
apartment and
Yeah.
store.
It looks like creating an apartment on the 2nd floor and retail space on the 1st floor with a maximum of 5 employees.
Right.
That's the, I want to say the 2nd amendment.
That was the amendment.
That's
to
the second.
Doggy
There's a
Daycare.
third
I
one?
think there's the original permit,
Mhm.
1 amendment, and then a 2nd amendment.
Okay.
So, like this original, I couldn't download this entire thing when I went
So what
onto
do you
the
have?
database. So, I was just looking, that's what I was trying to follow was the.
This is from 2003, and
Right. And there was an amendment in 2008, and then there was an amendment in 2011.
okay, well then I don't have the
So-
2008 amendment. I have 2003 and,
2008 would be the apartment.
yeah, that would be the apartments.
There was just another one that went through, I want to say.
Maybe that has to win, because
That's
that
what I'm
would,
saying, like, just make sure that you're really clear.
They're concerned about losing their commercial
the
standing if I amend this. And I said, well, I don't see how we couldn't not call this a commercial
Yeah.
dog operation. I
Sure.
mean, it's business,
is.
it's commercial, it's, you know, so they were concerned, that was their only real concern. As far as the rest of it went, they were pretty much open to me having at it.
Yeah.
And making sure that I just crossed
And
my
it might even
T's.
be worth making a trip to Springfield to sit down with them.
Yeah, Stephanie, who is April's assistant, said that if I wanted to come up, she would sit with me.
It
And
might be time
yeah,
well spent,
yeah.
just because it can be a hairy process. So,
Well, I just want to say I really appreciate you coming in and just having a little FaceTime with us
Mhm.
and talking about your goals. We'd all love to see that building being used
Mhm.
and
maintained.
yeah.
It sounds like you have a totally different venture than Doggy Daycare was, and I guess for as far as helping you, there's not a whole lot we can do other than say support your venture.
Well, doggy daycare is definitely what I want to do, but I am a professional. I am not somebody who just likes dogs and, you know, wants to be in the dog business because I like dogs. I actually have spent a lot of time and a lot of energy learning this stuff, and I guess I want to say I know what I'm doing. I kind of don't think they did. I mean, when I look at things they did in the building,
Just you're
yeah.
talking about the permits and the process and
Mhm.
your approach to things, it seems, I feel like you've got a great chance, and I would love to see you be successful in this, so.
I think we will if I can get through the hoops here.
Well, it sounds like you've got them on your side, which is, you know.
Well, everybody's just been so helpful. I mean, really, you know, Laura at the Access Board has been really helpful. She looked everything over. She said, Deborah, I don't think you need a variance.
Good.
I think we can work this out. So, but then it's like, well, okay, who pays for this fire escape?
Well, yeah.
And I actually wanted the fire escape, but I pitched these guys a super low rent. I mean, a super low number. I just said, well, you know, let's see if they're insulted and say no, then I haven't lost anything. And so I'm not paying them very much money to
Well, then you're in a
rent the
position maybe
space.
to invest a little bit.
Right. So that was it. So you know, now the argument comes over, you know, who pays for the
Sure.
fire escape. The fire escape is going to be the big sticking point. And I think that, you know, they've also got a big plumbing bill coming. So
Well, as you know, the hookup, as I said to you, the hookup's not cheap, so.
right, and actually Peter told me he thought that was going to end up costing them somewhere between $8,000 and $10,000
Oh, wow.
to hook up.
Cost for hookup?
For that
Yeah.
one? For all of them?
well, about the cost of drilling a new well. That's
Wow.
about the cost of
Oh,
connection.
I thought it was, okay.
Huh.
Nope.
That is wild. So basically what they told me was, well, there goes our first year's rent. And I said, hey, what can I tell you? You know, I mean,
Yeah.
you could fix the well,
Yeah,
you know, or not. And the well is in a horrible place. I don't know. It's like underneath the driveway. And the guy that inspected the building said, walk away from the well. It's probably full of
It is a
coliforms.
yeah.
Thank you for
Well,
coming.
thank you.
All right.
Appreciate you taking the time.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time. It's been fun. Talking to people who care about this. All right.
Take
Very
care.
good, thanks, Deb.
Stop by sometime.
Yeah, it was fun to stop by.
Yeah, you should have come in and looked around.
Yeah, a lot of eager students there.
Yes, we do. We have a lot of eager dogs. And what's better than a bunch of puppies on a Saturday morning?
You were like,
Nice to meet you.
I know, I have one. I'm excited about everyone and everything.
all right.
So we skip the next one, and which Betty Fry should have been here for a report from Wyndham Regional.
Random solid waste.
Yeah, solid waste, stand corrected, Sweet Pond fundraiser.
I was just gonna give you all a little quick update. We had a great fundraiser last Friday night. The Guilford Ensemble played. The event, I believe, took in about $3,400 total. Yeah. We sold T-shirts. We had a dessert buffet afterwards. It was lovely and very successful. So
Thank you.
I want to say we have close to $6,000
That's great.
raised thus far to save Sweet Pond.
What is going on with Sweet Pond? Have they had any studies or with the dam
Yeah.
or whatever?
I mean, the study, were you at the thing last spring where they talked about the different alternatives?
There were
Because,
5 alternatives
there were-
presented.
yeah, and one was do nothing,
Yeah.
which was not a choice. Another was tear down the dam. Another was totally rebuild the dam. Another was rehabilitate the dam, and I can't remember. And then the other one was
lower the dam.
rebuild it at a lower level. And they basically found that to rehabilitate the dam was,
Second cheapest.
the second was like $300,000, which we were stunned, frankly, that it was that cheap, as opposed to 200 plus to take it down. So the difference between those two numbers was not that great, and people were very excited to be able to recommend to the state, and the state backed that recommendation that they rehabilitate the current
I
dam.
think they're in the process of applying
Well,
for,
they're gonna go to, in the next legislative session, the Commissioner's Department of Forest, Parks and Recreation is gonna go ask to have it added to their capital program
Yeah.
so that they can get capital money. They have to do something because the dam
Re-
safety engineer said, I
Yeah,
think
so,
there was a window of time in which,
this year, coming
yeah,
year.
so they have to commit at least 200,000. That's what it would cost to take it down.
Mhm.
It's like 330 or something to rebuild it, so.
yeah,
Are
so.
they gonna dredge any of the pond and all? Or just-
Well, what would be
I don't know.
ideal is if it gets fully funded through the state to rehabilitate the dam, and then we'll have the Save Sweet Pond money that could be used to improve the recreational area, so it could be a good swimming pool.
So dredged and cleaned up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think
Nice place to go.
it's
Down
pretty,
by the dam,
it's, I don't know if I should say hopeful, that's too strong a word.
No, I think.
No, I don't think so. I think they're gonna go ahead with it. It's just a matter of financing, and the window is 2013, but 2014,
Yeah.
he said the dam safety committee could say, you've had your chance, take it down.
Yeah, I mean, it was a
So
fairly,
it's,
what was it, Dubois and King, I think, did the,
Did a pretty
Survey.
comprehensive, you didn't come to that, that was like last March or something?
I'm sure that was not a cheap
No.
itself. So that was that, so it's ongoing, so.
Are there gonna be more fundraising efforts?
I think the next one is, probably Mike Hebert will
Right.
coordinate that, where we go up to Montpelier, where they have
Mhm.
that
Like
legislative day.
lobby
where we
day kind of-
host- Yeah, exactly.
it has a fundraiser to welcome, so.
Yeah, I think we're good. Thanks. Algiers Waterline?
Waterline, yes.
Okay, it's pretty much done.
As Eli said, where's the Rago? That's that machine that crunched up the, all the machinery's gone, they flushed the lines
Yeah.
Twice.
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 And got
They
rid of
walked through the punch list, they've addressed the changes that were presented in the punch list.
So they addressed the stuff what the fire department was concerned about?
They-
in the email, what you
Some of the issues, yes, were addressed,
What they
and
did,
they were already addressed.
when they flushed it that Saturday, they took the valve right out of the hydrants, so everything would come up and not plug up the valves. And they still got some stones out of it. But
Mhm.
when I was up at the firehouses where I talked to them when they were finishing flushing, and it was good to clean at that point. So they're pretty confident that they got all this stuff out of the pipes.
I wasn't sure if there was still some the
It may still be.
meter pit work
Yeah.
to be done. There's some small stuff, but
Yeah.
it's not live, nobody's connected.
And so Tom Halleck's gone, he's off-site.
You go.
Yes,
So when you say there's some meter pit work to be done, who will
they
do,
probably come back a small crew, not big equipment.
Sure.
But I mean, the actual construction of it
is done?
is done.
But that's Brattleboro's gonna do that, aren't they?
Um,
I kinda got that impression
I
from the
think they're
walk that
working
we
it out
did.
with them.
Yeah. They're gonna be the ones controlling it, and the Brattleboro would be the ones that do the meter.
Start to
work.
finish, was it like 5 weeks or 6 weeks? It was amazingly
It was
fast.
very fast. It was very fast. And it very quickly is looking like it didn't even happen.
The seating
Yeah,
and
the
stuff.
grass is
Cyber,
already
yeah.
growing.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
yeah, it is actually. So that was a brief little update there.
Okay. Dan, tell us how good the roads are.
Oh, they're terrible. We've been grading. We're still doing a lot of mitigation work. We're down in Green River doing a lot of stone work. I got 2 more sites to put some stone on. And then from there, I'm gonna move to Green River Road, up above, Gorman's on that corner. And I gotta stone that there, and then we'll be all done stoning, and all I have left to do is just top dress.
Is
All our sites.
placing riprap, is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And I've been out
Question
grading,
replacing riprap, right?
been grading the roads a couple
Down
days a
my
week.
turns.
And actually, I went riding around this morning, and the only roads I really got is the backside of Green River Hill, Heinsberg Road.
Nice job on
and-
Tater Lane.
And the other one I got is, Sweets Pond's got some spots.
Nice job on Melody Hill too.
I did his road first,
Did you do some spot grading?
Yes,
last week.
Okay.
yes.
Friday.
I wasn't sure if
That guy
someone
who
else
did the
had
radio?
done it or they
You need
did.
to learn how to use that York rake though.
I think
Wow.
you did a great job.
I'll give him a lesson.
Yeah, good. So the yellow lines are going down soon, you said?
I had Dickie call this morning up there. I've been having a hell of a time trying to get through to them up there. I talked to them, yup, we'll be down next week. Well, they came down 2 weeks
Who's them
ago,
that you talked to?
The state.
The state.
State.
and they did Route 5,
Mhm.
Well, run
and
by us.
they did 2 or 3 roads to the town of Brattleboro, but they ended up did doing
Heinsberg.
the Heinsberg Road. So the only thing they got to do was the Guilford Center Road and the Hollow
Be good when they do them, those roads are
Road.
scary.
Yeah, it's, you need it.
And the guy, this Russ at the state, he left me about, I think, 7 different numbers to call. I ended up just leaving him a message on the main numbers, so I'll call him back.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
I'll
don't-
tell you, but it's amazing, but without those center lines going along curves.
People are,
Yeah.
they just use up the whole road.
Mhm.
Good thing you got the white ones to keep in between, huh?
And if
It's
we don't
scary.
hear nothing, I'll call John Alexander up to
Good,
Yeah, I was
It's
surprised. that-
AOT and see what we can
yeah, good,
get.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Capital budget discussion, capital program discussion, yeah.
I don't know how in-depth you guys want to get.
Well, we just sort of cover the.
Medium and
I made a handout.
We were discussing sort of this morning possibilities of purchases of equipment. and
sure. So we need to see it.
This could be
And whatnot.
homework, if you'd like. Food for
I think it
thought
would be
stuff.
good homework, but we can sort of breeze over the top of it.
Does Danny want one of these?
I have one.
Okay.
Everybody gets one. I did the one.
I like the brown.
Thank you. I changed it just for this.
Mhm.
I guess right now we have no money,
We never have
Basically.
money until October 15th.
Until, yeah.
yeah.
That's generally the rule.
But I mean, even then it's committed, sort of.
For the most part.
Yeah.
And I think it will, that's what I'm saying, I think if everyone took this home and did a little reading, and I'd be happy to email it if people would like me to do that, if they lose their paper. Not that I'm singling anyone out,
Thanks.
but I know I would if I had to take it home, so.
Huh, wow.
Just, it's kind of a lot to take in without looking at it first, and it's not like this is a lot of what I did this afternoon, was just trying to pull some information. We have really good records from fiscal year 11 on, so a little bit of the fiscal year 10 and 9 stuff, and before. I had to do some winging it.
I think, so looking down at the bottom of the first page, the discussion, questions, getting away from the actual what costs, capital program present discussion.
They're
I
kind of big.
They are big questions. I think we can say safely at this point, we do not have a formal written policy mission. We really just have a replacement schedule.
Well, we have everything's on a 10-year cycle.
Right, so, but
Is there an actual document that goes along with the schedule?
We've never, when we first made up the capital plan back in
There's a written document?
06, we had a plan schedule of what needed to be replaced.
we had a planned schedule,
Yeah.
right.
But is there an actual, text document
No, and
that
I-
talks about
No, we
the
just
schedule?
all-
Tell me what the
Of
text document, I want to understand what you're talking about when you say a mission policy.
Like, what does the program include?
Okay,
Like, the
so,
schedule just
for
has
example,
equipment.
it came up at town meeting about the sand shed.
Yeah.
And the
Right.
question came up, is a building part of the capital? And we said yes.
It's part
So
of
what
it,
you're
yeah.
saying is we should have that all spelled
Yes,
out.
and when I say should it be expanded, we've talked a little bit about this too, is looking at all of our capital assets,
Including the Historical Society,
including everything that's deemed a capital asset in the town.
not just the
It's like
vehicles.
drawing the thread through what we audit,
Mhm,
our
okay.
books as capital assets.
Right,
These are, look at our capital asset list that we report out on for our
Right.
audit and include that in our capital program. So we would have everything in there in different categories, from highway equipment to properties to.
and the 10-year cycle would be maintained for vehicles,
Okay.
but there'd be a
Sure.
There
separate,
could be a 20-year schedule for repairs on buildings.
well,
do you know
or
what-
maybe
depending
something
on-
other than a year-by-year,
Yes,
a different framework.
Absolutely.
Okay.
There could be a
I just-
schedule.
I needed to understand what
But
you're talking about.
it would all be encompassed within one capital program.
Sure, that makes sense.
So
So
that-
when do we get to do that work?
Well, that's something that we've kind of been,
Putting off.
yeah.
Well, one of the things that to go along with what Gabe was saying was the library needs the windows redone. And
No kidding.
I'm looking at I'm looking at the estimates for the Grange, about between $600 and $1,000 a piece to redo the windows and do them right. And so
That was
would
the
be
estimate
something-
for the Grange?
That was the estimate for the Grange, yeah.
I guess I'd like to make a proposal. I would like to propose that we set aside a little time, kind of pre-budget time, to do the kind of policy work, discussion work that would be good to have in place as we enter our budget discussions.
Well, I'm gonna just backpedal a bit here, that one of the charges of a planning commission is to craft a capital program.
Yes.
Okay,
And right now, I've got them off on a jaunt, looking at roads, so
so do you think that jaunt would relate to this?
I think I could put that jaunt right into this and
When you say they're looking at roads in what?
well, the thing about, we were talking about this morning about,
Say if like we want to do, say like take a section on Green River Hill
That's in here,
and
if you read your
redo
homework,
it while I have,
it's addressed in there.
take my retreatment money.
Right.
Not do, because right now my blacktop roads are in pretty decent
Sure,
shape.
yeah.
My next section of road to get repaved would be from the old town garage up to the end of Jacksonville Stage and Sweet
Sure.
Pond.
Turn your paper over, right there.
So you can take that, what I got in here for retreatment, do whatever I gotta do for my crack filling, and of course you gotta spend for a little money for your line strike, and then that money can go into re-graveling roads,
Right, and then,
or we could take a section of Green River Hill, take it, start from the bottom, and redo it, put drainage fabric, and rebuild, say, 1,500 feet of road.
so here's my question then. If it's up to the planning commission to craft something, what would be the timetable of the planning commission doing it?
well, right now, they have nothing pressing other than they have to redo the town plan for 2015.
They meet twice a month, don't they, or just
Once.
once? I'm just wondering how long it would take them, if it would be of value to us this year, or if this is maybe a longer
I
term.
think it's gonna be a longer
Yeah.
Okay,
term.
okay.
And it's really changing the way, it's more changing the way we think
Yeah.
about it.
Right. So one of the reasons why we're bringing this up is I had, the John Deere guy gave me a price on that machine we're renting right now,
Right,
and that's the figures of, say, if we leased it,
aha, yeah,
at least to buy,
sure,
I mean, because we got I got 3 months rental on it now.
Right,
And if we do some of these projects, it would be nice to have our own machine, and we can use that machine for
right.
what we gotta do with it.
Okay, so would it be appropriate for us to make a motion? You're on the, you're on the
I
planning
mean,
commission, because I just think it's important that the select board be well represented, so they don't.
Who's all on the planning commission?
You wanna get
Chucky?
on? They only got 4 people.
Or is it
Al Coon, Harry Evans, Chucky Clark, Pete Ansel.
Where's the fifth? Oh, Paul isn't.
Paul Derry, which hasn't showed up at all,
Okay.
so,
You want to be on it?
we're looking to, more members.
Yeah, it would be good. We used to have like 7 to
I
9.
mean, whether it's the planning commission or it's even a subcommittee of other people
You could
who
just
have
do a
a
work group.
stronger financial,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
you know, I don't know.
I mean, I guess I'm concerned about a different group doing this only in that I think you need to have your perspective pretty well represented.
Whatever they do, it gotta come back.
Sure, I understand that, but I don't want them to come back with something that's not really a good use of their time.
I just think, especially after Irene,
Mm-hmm.
and talking about, we kind of started a little bit talking about Green River Hill last year. About maybe we need to really reassess how much money we sink into these, you know, every year during mud season, it seems to me, and I'm sure definitely.
I take
We
my
keep-
friends on mud season tours, Green
Yeah.
River.
Well, we keep putting gravel in the same spots, and it just,
Yeah, and it really,
it
like,
just disappears, you know?
sure, it's like a big black hole that we're throwing good money
Sure.
at that, so.
So-
And even if we documented it, it would put us in line where we could do the hazard mitigation grant program. Different thing that
Understand.
if we took a little bit more initiative in terms of how we look at all of this as kind of capital money, because if we keep putting money into retreatment, granted highway money carries over, so it's protected in that way, but if you're dedicating it in a capital program, then it really specifically goes there. with a
I guess
more-
what I'm buying all this. I'm
Okay.
just looking at the most efficient mechanism to get the job.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And if it's the planning commission sitting down and writing this, okay, we'll give that a go. You know, you'd be there. If it's a subcommittee of the planning commission,
Is it-
okay. I just want to know what will make the process move.
And can it be something that they would partner with the Wyndham Regional Commission?
Possibly. I mean, they've had
know
John
who's
on
the
it a couple times. So, yeah, I mean,
So can I make a motion that we
Sure.
charge our chair to see what he can get going for a structure for this is like a piece of work that we'd like to get done within, I don't know, a year? Is that too slow or too
well,
ambitious?
it would be nice if they're gonna do it, they could have it done so that along toward the end of our budget, we would have an idea.
Well, that's what I was wondering, and it sounded like that was too ambitious.
That's
I would
only like 3 months away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm talking December, January, 12 months, but I mean, they could come
Well,
up
they could, you know,
with a
get-
rough.
They could get a rough draft, yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
So I guess I charge our chair I'd make a motion that we get our chair to talk to the planning commission, and I don't know, Katie, if you'd be able to, I mean, maybe you don't need to, because maybe everything that's needed would be right here, so you can just talk to them about it.
I think it's gonna be a learning process.
Yeah,
And we could even get capital programs from some other towns that do it well.
that's what I love copying.
I do too, it's the highest form of flattery, so
Yeah, yeah.
let's go flatter some other towns.
And we're about one of the only towns that really stick to our capital plan on our equipment replacement. A lot of them don't stay to it.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious to know what the Vermont League of Cities and Towns would probably have some good.
I think there's a lot of resources,
I
it's gonna
think
take
good.
some learning.
Okay.
I hate to mess with that figure we took out of the air because it seems to be working quite well.
Which,
I second your motion, and
Okay.
All in
I knew
favor?
my phone was around there somewhere. so.
Aye.
You know, the cap, it's been working good. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
you know, we got the nice, out of that, what we put away each year, the 150, we got a nice sand shed,
Yeah.
which is well money we're spent for it.
it's helped a lot.
Yes, it has, so.
It's, I mean, I actually do think that it
Yeah.
saves some time having somebody coming in a half an hour, 45 minutes early and busting that rock,
Yeah, so.
that big rock up down there, so.
All right. Did we vote on that?
Yes, we did.
All right, my
think
phone
you-
rang, I got
I think
distracted.
you said aye, I'm not
Okay.
sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
And the program can work continue to work
Yeah.
out and
I
be
mean,
broadened out,
Oh,
so I
sure.
can work better for
Yeah,
more
yeah.
aspects of the town.
So it doesn't disrupt the schedule, but
No,
it just
not at all.
creates
It broadens the scope, yeah.
Got anything else, Dan, you wanna throw in?
No, that's pretty much about it, as far as that goes.
Okay.
Unless you guys got any,
Caitlin, that's great.
Do you, well, I do actually, do you want some sort of decision on that equipment?
No, I-
Just let it go?
just let it go.
Okay. Alright, okay. Finances, oh, I got a FY12 on the audit here.
Oh, we have preliminary feedback from our fiscal year 12 professional audit. It went pretty smoothly. Yeah, we have barely any journal entries to make, which is,
A big yay.
it is a big yay. It's a huge yay.
Wow.
Yeah, and the ones that we have to make, we pretty much knew we had to make.
Well,
So
I
that's
just would
capital
like you to share with Peter and Penny and you our deep appreciation for the work you guys have been doing, because
Thanks.
what a nice change.
Yeah, it is. It is. It went like super easy, and everything that they look for. Oh yeah, I know what that is. And it's just pointing them in a direction, very easy to find. So it went pretty well. Year-to-date budget report. I was going to give you kind of an update, but since we haven't really collected taxes and doled out a lot of stuff.
So what we know is we have no money. Have we
have no
anticipated,
money.
have we
And
borrowed
we're
any?
spending. No.
Oh, how did we get away with that? Yeah. That's great.
We have collected
Fair amount.
575,000 in taxes already.
That's great.
Yeah, which is very helpful. We've gotten state AOT money in, $35,000. We've gotten money here and there.
Right.
We got a $53,000 municipal tax adjustment. So I mean, these little chunks of money come in.
That's a plus.
Yeah.
Well, it is. Every bit helps. We just got another 9,000 today from another adjustment. So it kind of just let it go.
Good.
So yeah. So knock on wood.
What's the budget getting?
I don't know. Do we want to talk about
Budget
budgets
planning?
just to try and?
I would say that I
When do
feel
we want to start?
like for a while we started too soon, because actually we didn't have much to work with. It
No.
seems to me like we've settled into about the end of November, beginning of December as being a good time to start.
After the
Because remember we
holidays.
started in early November, and then people hadn't gotten their
Yeah.
reports to us.
Nobody
and-
actually really gives reports. I've noticed throughout my tenure here that I ask and nobody does, and so I kind of just do theirs and nobody complains.
Yeah. So would you, given that, would you rather start earlier?
I'm going to start when I could start now.
Do you want us to start with you, or do you?
No.
No.
I'm going to just get everything done and give it to you, and then you can just hack away at it.
All
That's
right.
kind of worked
All right.
pretty well. You and I do our thing
Yeah,
together.
you just sit down and get
Yeah.
everything and just.
Okay. Works for me. So you're thinking probably after Thanksgiving?
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
that sounds
Okay.
pretty good, yeah.
Just kind of wanted to. Everybody's.
There were a couple years there where we were sort of in panic mode because we were doing it late, but
I
we're,
know.
Sure.
yeah, that's changed.
Mhm.
Okay.
I think we had one year where we needed to be in a panic mode, but we've kind of got settled into the.
Yeah.
And I think where we do the budget in Emmerich now, there's not as much panicking because you don't worry that anything's lost because it's
Right.
already all
Right.
there automatically.
Okay, warrants.
Well, isn't that special? I'd like to make the following motion. That we pay payroll for 9/16/12 for $4,497.28. Payroll for 9/23/12 for $10,819.51. For a total of payroll of $15,316.79. Along with payroll warrant number 5 for $57,626.77. For total expenses for $72,943.56.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Before I vote, can I just, there's a huge difference between those two payrolls.
That is for our lister and emergency management coordinator. Okay,
First quarter pay.
first
For
quarter
her.
pay.
I guess I
Yeah.
would like to, in some way, send a formal notice, which we've probably done before, about person billing for the wrong fiscal year.
I will totally agree with you there. If it's not sent in before the end of the
I
fiscal
think, I
year.
think we may have sent this notice before, but I think we'd say this is the last time we will pay for anything that's submitted
I don't
after.
know if you can, I don't know how to do that properly, because I don't do the payroll.
I think it would be, we can relate that down to
Penny?
Penny.
Okay, that if, I'm just thinking if we do something formal at this point, that we,
Yeah.
because we've let people know.
Well, it falsely represents a budget number
Yeah.
in the wrong fiscal year.
It seems to me that if you submit your bill for work that's way overdone, that at some point,
Yeah,
it's just, that budget is closed.
That's right, you're right. That
So,
budget is closed as of the
Anyway,
30th
if we
of the
could,
year.
if we could draft just a reminder and saying to all of the
Sure.
people who are in the position where their
Yep.
bill is out.
yeah, oh yeah, yep.
Okay, thanks. So where do we?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, sign them.
I'm hoarding them.
I'll turn my light on so I can see.
Okay.
Could you please let me keep them?
Probably may need that, walking out the door.
No, the lights on out there.
You got that, backfill out there yet?
Yeah, no, I haven't gotten that yet.
Patch?
I do believe somebody else was gonna help you there. This wasn't-
Merle's project.
I just don't want Sister falling down again, that's all.
No, I don't know if we can just put a tickler in and somehow just, I mean, I don't think anybody's gonna pay attention until we get serious about that. And we just
Nobody
don't
pays
pay.
attention to anything.
No, until you get serious. So just, you know, I know we've mentioned this before, but if we,
Yeah.
if we just say, as of fiscal year, ending fiscal year 2013, any bills submitted for fiscal year 2013
Monthly.
will not be paid as we begin fiscal year 2014. It's out of our budget cycle, sorry.
Yeah, especially in September's.
I
We
believe we're
have-
in the rights to do that.
We
man.
have 60 days to back into the prior fiscal year, that we do have. But from a payroll perspective, it's extremely difficult to, because there's so many items that get hit when you process
Yeah.
payroll in terms of accounts, to pluck out all the taxes, all the deductions, all the everything. It makes,
Yeah, okay.
it's not just like a
So,
journal entry.
Can
It's
you,
a
do you have a
nightmare.
little tickler that you could just put that in, that if we send out a notice to people in June,
Yeah,
fiscal year will be ending the end of July, if you do not submit bills
you
for,
can admit, ends in the end of June.
end of June, yeah. And, sorry, and that, you know, for work that is completed during that time, you must, I mean, when would be a reasonable time, if they finish work, let's say June 29th, they're not gonna get that in, obviously.
Yeah, you have until the second week of July to
Okay,
submit it.
okay, thank you, thanks.
Yeah.
If we could just formalize that once more, then I would feel like no qualms about just saying.
Yeah, well, it happens every year, and I got caught on that one year, and Barb wasn't gonna pay me,
Mhm.
so.
Okay.
All right, communications, we have our
Just one.
payment.
Yep, from Susan Arnold. Shall I just read it?
Sure.
To whom it may concern, the town of Guilford Select Board. I'm enclosing 3 essays by my husband, Bob Arnold. These are sent to you relative to the preceding letters Bob and I have written to the Select Board since last fall, 2011. I've received a letter of response from Katie Buckley in early June, but I've not heard back on my issues relating to wrongful, damaging character information given by the town clerk's office. Although names have not been included in these essays to protect the privacy of these people, I have detailed names in my correspondences with you, fall 2011 through June 2012. These essays represent factual circumstances that evolved on a river road from last fall to this very present day. I'm re-quoting my letter sent to the town, see below. And this was her letter back to me, in which I told her that she should post her property
Mhm.
or notify law enforcement if she felt that people were coming on her property wrongfully.
Is she asking for an action from us? This is what I'm.
I think, but it's not really something.
One of the issues, I believe, is the river, and they don't own the river, I'm sorry. They might own the land under the river, but they don't own the river. And that's where some of this issue is developed.
So people are in the river that passes.
Is
Well-
this that issue where the people was walking to the river and picking up?
Well,
rocks?
some of it, but some of it, there's another issue going on now where somebody was swimming in the river and there was some sort of bad dialogue that started and it's gone up and the land is posted, that particular portion of the river is posted now. So it's ongoing. Do we have anything to do with it? No, I believe it's a civil thing. It's not really a town issue. No.
In terms of response from the office, the person is no longer working
The
here.
person is no longer with us.
And
Yeah.
I don't know what the best way is to really.
I
don't know
don't, you
what
have some
action-
communications, there's no action that we are asked to take
no,
that I can see here.
And it's the town clerk's office,
Okay.
so, and just,
Thank you.
Anything else?
And we'll be adjourned.
Second.
All in favor?
Oh, wait. Our next meeting is scheduled for October 8th.
oh, yeah,
which
we
is
were
Columbus
saying
Day.
that.
Didn't I just bring
Yeah.
that up?
Yeah, and we had made a motion a while back.
We did, and
But I'm gonna tell you what it said, because I remember. Are you impressed, or do you remember too?
I do remember too. Don't ask, because it's kind of.
We
small.
decided not to go to Tuesday, but to go to Wednesday, so it would be October 10th, is that correct?
Well,
But since it
But we're
has,
backing away from that, that's all.
just for this one particular holiday, and the reason is,
We're all still working.
we're working.
On Columbus Day. It's a fake holiday in Vermont. The only people who take Columbus Day are people who aren't from here, that's as far as I can tell.
Yeah, so for this particular holiday,
Mm-hmm.
could we just maintain the regular schedule, and then that way I don't have to
Even
put a
if
warning in
we
the
gotta
paper
work the
and
Bronx
pay
Sunday, we might as well come to the meeting
I'm
Monday.
fine with that.
Okay, so we'll just,
Are you okay with
same
that?
schedule?
Everybody?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out, because we've got
When's the
school that day.
next one that it would affect in November?
That would be on the,
Or is
no,
it not until Christmas?
Columbus Day weekend is the brunch at the Grange.
It's Christmas.
it's Christmas Eve.
It's Christmas and Christmas Eve. Christmas
And-
Eve and New Year's Eve.
But there's nothing in November?
Christmas Eve.
There's no holiday in
Thanksgiving's
November?
on the
No,
third.
Thanksgiving's
because,
not
Thursday.
because Veterans Day is on a Sunday this year.
Okay, so
I mean,
that's
there's no
fine.
school that, on the 12th, but
Sure, so that kind of gives us a long leash there.
Okay. See you the 8th.
And then I could warn both of those in one morning without it having to be. Okay.
So we adjourned, are we?
Yeah, we did.
We're adjourned, yeah.
Now, do you want to move it?
I move the adjourn.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye, aye, aye.